Hi friends, this is Marilyn from tarotclarity.com, and you'll notice today that my collection of decks here have all been put out by the Deviant Moon Inc. Patrick Valenza company. Now, ultimately, I'll be showing you the deck that arrived today from them, Edoardo Dotti Lombardy Tarot, 1865, which I believe I will, I am totally smitten with. I have seen other Dotti decks, online. I haven't, although I've taken this out of the shrink wrap from the box and inside the cards, because I don't think anyone should have to endure, somebody for 20 minutes taking a deck out of a package. I haven't looked at the deck yet, but I have seen online, examples of the Dotti, and I was very excited to be able to get my hands on this. But I kind of wanted to show maybe like the evolution of what this company has been going through. In 2013, we were all kind of excited, I think, when Patrick Valenza came out with Deviant Moon Tarot, which is not a pip style deck, but rather, more or less, Coleman Smith, Wait Coleman Smith centric, but it had enough differences, that it was kind of intriguing. And although I prefer non-scenic pips, I try to keep an open mind, and when something different comes out, it catches my eye, I'll buy it. Like, look at this Nine of Cups for the Wish card, I love it. So I bought it. Now, I used it for a bit, and sometimes I use it still, but it's not my go-to deck. It's not in my go-to box, But I'm happy to have it. Then shortly after this signature box, or signature deck rather, they came out with something that's a nod to the Marseille styles, right? So this one's Testo Italiano, so actually I guess it would be more, like an Italian deck, the Trionfi della Luna. And then they had Trionfi della Luna Paradoxical, which is just a color deviant, a different color palette from this. But it's more or less was, not a non-pip style deck with some embellishments. Again, I always say you read the deck, right? You can't always, nor should you try to force yourself to read every deck in the same way. Even tarot decks that are Coleman's, Wait Coleman Smith based, right? There are deviations, right? So even though something might call itself a non pip style, it doesn't necessarily mean that it reads like a Tarot of Marseille or one of the early Italians. But I was intrigued, and so I bought it. But then I noticed that Mr. Valenza started coming out with genuine antique decks, like the Kercher Besançon. Now, I have another version of this put out by Il Meneghello. It's their Besançon Tarot. But I didn't realize it when I bought this one. Because the Il Meneghello doesn't say this was Kercher, it just is like, Il Meneghello's Besançon. And it wasn't until I investigated and read a little bit about their version that I realized that it was this same deck. Now, what Mr. Valenza has done, apparently, is he's been buying some of these older decks. This one from what year? I apologize. I should have seen it beforehand. 1850. Okay. So, Mr. Valenza has been purchasing some of these older decks, and now he is reproducing them, So I just thought, I don't think I've ever done a video just on his decks, so I thought I would show them to you. Now, when you do more or less a facsimile deck, which is what Mr. Valenza has been doing with these older decks, you get the good, the bad, and the ugly. You get the, lack of quality control. You get it the way it was printed, you see. So unlike Il Meneghello or, somebody like Giordano Berti or Yves Renaud, or Artisan Tarot, who will refine what we're looking at, to clean it up. Patrick chooses to just, he purchased the deck, and so he reproduces the deck. And so what we see is the deck, warts and all. And sometimes, I like having facsimile decks. I like having clean versions also, but it's sometimes very interesting to see how a deck survived, how it looks in its present day condition. Not necessarily bright and shiny like it once looked, but it is kind of interesting to see. So this one, as I mentioned, was the Kercher Besançon. Besançon meaning that Juno and Jupiter replaced the female pope and the pope. Now here we have another Swiss deck, the Gassman Tarot, and I have at least one other version of this put out by Yves Renaud, 1860, which is roughly the same period of time as the Kercher. And you can see that it's decidedly Swiss. You can tell, by the batons, have a decidedly Swiss look. And the cups have the suit of cups, the two of cups here has a decidedly Swiss look. Now this one is not a Besançon, so we have the female pope and the pope rather than Juno and Jupiter. I'm hoping to just get the Ace of Cups. See the beautiful batons. Just to show you the Ace of Cups, because the Ace of Cups is usually a telltale, or the Swiss Hanged Man. You can always tell it's Swiss by the Hanged Man, the batons, and then this one. Now, a Swiss deck can not have this ace and still be Swiss, of course, but when you see this, it's a Swiss influence. So this is another deck that Mr. Valenza purchased and reproduced a facsimile deck of. But today's deck I want to show you is this gorgeous Edoardo Dotti Lombardy Tarot, 1865. So he has gone to the Italian side, and thank you. I'm so thrilled that he has. It's smaller than the other decks, you can see. And of course, let's get ourselves situated. The Lombardy region would be the north, the north of Italy, right? And would include Milan, which I believe is where this deck, the Dotti deck, comes from. Il Mato, let's see, somewhere I think it says Milan. Oh, maybe not. I thought it was. It said it was from Milan. Okay, so it's generally from Lombardy. Now, as I mentioned, I already tore off the shrink. Took off the shrink wrap on the outside, and I took off the shrink wrap that was around the car. Here, Milano. So it was created in Milan. Because who the heck wants to spend 5 minutes watching a video with somebody trying to take it out of packaging? Okay, so this was created in Milan, 1865, in the Lombardy region, and yeah, it's just one of the many decks now that he's purchased and has reproduced. Now, I didn't spend a whole lot of money on this deck, certainly under $50. So I thought I'd share it with you. It reminds me a lot of the Trieste deck, which is a beautiful deck. That's the deck that some of you may be familiar with, the Marshmallow Tarot. Although the Trieste deck is more beautiful, but it's where you might be familiar with the imagery from that. So it does remind me of that in so far, just looking at one or two cards here. And also the somewhat similar to the Bolognese. Well, this is more similar, I think, to the Trieste. The female pope. What a nice job. So he must have gotten a deck that was in really good condition. if he more or less, you know, these are facsimile decks, then there's not a whole lot of warts on this so far. I guess there's a little, you know, background noise. But what a beautiful deck. So I think it's really kind of great that Deviant Moon Inc. has, you know, crossed over to historic tarot decks for those of us who love historic tarot decks. You know, now we see a little bit, you know, it kind of has the sense of like TDM1, right? Even though this is 1860, but that we see the touch of that. Let's look at the Lover card. And the Lover card has a blindfolded Cupid. So, so beautiful. But anyway, as I was saying, I think it's great that Mr. Valenza has taken his company in this direction. And I'm so thrilled that, you know, he's now printed an Italian deck. And I've been wanting a version of the Dotti, you know, for quite some time. And when I saw this, you know, I was like, man, I got to have it. This is the version I'll buy, because I won't spend a fortune and I'll still get the benefit of a facsimile deck, and it's in great shape. It's not, you know, it's not in the condition of, you know, it's not in a sorry condition. So here we see, you know, a little bit of a nod to Swiss decks, and, you know, bear in mind that Italy, you know, is not far from Switzerland, right? And so the influence of Krampus, you know, having the kind of hairy legs and the long tongue, although we don't see a long tongue here. We do see a little bit of a Swiss hint of Krampus, I think. And, you know, that area of Switzerland, Italy, and France, you know, it was kind of like a, oh, look at that. It was kind of like, you know, a location, you know, a general regional area where they influenced one another, right? Look how gorgeous this is. It's just beautiful. Clearly a woman and a man rather than two children. So I'm thrilled to own a copy of the Dotti. And I just wanted to give a shout out to Deviant Moon, because they're doing really cool things. I think, you know, they still have their unusual asylum kind of decks. I mean, even with this package, you know, I received, as usual, they always send something that, you know, I received a card from another, maybe it's a deck I already have, and then I know they have some oracle decks, and then, you know, playing cards. And I do have one of their regular playing card decks too. I didn't pull that out, but I do have a playing card deck from them that I should have pulled out. And then we have our court cards for the suit of batons. And the Two of Cups, showing that it was created in Milan. Just gorgeous. I can't wait to use this deck. Oh my gosh. Beautiful. You know, and every now and then in TDM we see the Queen of Cups with windows, you know. And clearly defined in this deck. Suit of Swords. The color is gorgeous. And the Court cards. And then the last suit of coins. Again, identifying Edoardo Dotti of Milan. And unlike some of the Italian decks, the suit of cups and coins do not portray the infant or the page or the valet as being female, but male. So there you have it. So if you're, you know, recently into TDM or non-scenic pip decks, I would definitely encourage you to go check out what Patrick Valenza is doing over at Deviant Moon, because they have at least now 3 historic decks. There may have been more, but you know, I catch them as I see them, and I think he's only done released 3 actually historic decks, and I'm so thrilled to have this one. But check them out. You know. They have, you know, a lot, you know, they have something for everyone. They have the Deviant Moon, which is, you know, Waite Coleman Smith. They have their own version of, you know, an Italian French Marseille. And now they have been releasing historic decks that are just gorgeous. And this one is Italian. So, oh my gosh, you know, I'm very happy that he's released an Italian deck. So I thought that might be fun for you. Oh, for those of you who are, you know, curious about my Patreon, I'm having doubts whether or not I'm able to do it. You know, I want to be able to provide paying subscribers, you know, quality feed. And I take pride in what I do here for you guys. You know, I recognize that this video is really only a review or a, you know, is showing the deck, but I think I do in my videos tend to discuss a lot of things that tend to be, you know, instructional as well. And but I don't know, I just feel like if I go to Patreon, it will like make this account suffer, because I'll save the best for that. I've got some great ideas. I don't know. Tell me what you guys think. I mean, I don't want, you know, I don't want to disappoint anybody, you know. And anyway, give me your ideas. But I'm starting to get cold feet on the Patreon idea. Anyway, until next time, friends, peace, double peace. You know, especially considering what's happening right now with the Ukraine. Universe bless Ukraine. Until next time, peace and stay well.